Hi, I'm Victor Gamov. So you are excited to get started with Kafka and you want to consume and produce some basic messages and you want to do it quickly. In this Kafka tutorial, I would like to show you how we can consume and produce messages with command line tools and without any coding at all. So let's get to it. Now on the page of Kafka tutorial that allows you to see how produce and consume messages using console producer consumer. So we start with initializing project, creating directories. Well, we will put all things that we need. And the next thing is we're creating a Docker Compose file where we will include our component, namely Kafka and Zookeeper. The next thing is that we need to start these two containers. In this case, we execute Docker Compose up. -d parameter will run all this in the background. So next thing that we need to connect to Kafka container by using command Docker Compose exec and create Kafka topics with simple replication factor 1 and 1 partition. So in order to start the console consumer, we will log in into broker container and execute Kafka console consumer command there. Next, we need to start a producer in order to produce this data while our consumer is up and running. So now we also need to log into container that has a broker and execute the console Kafka console producer command. Next, we need to enter some messages into this console in order this message will be published to Kafka. I'll say a lazy fox jumped over the brown cow. Let's switch to our console consumer and see what kind of results we have there. We should get all these messages in our console. Our consumer continued to reading this topic. So next thing, we will try to read the messages from beginning when the consumer was not available. For that purpose, we will kill instance our consumer and we will start producing new messages into Kafka topic. Let's write some messages here. How now, brown cow, all streams lead to Kafka. Now we produced those messages in Kafka topic, but our consumer was down. So we need to start from beginning in order to receive all these messages. And you see all the messages in this topic were consumed and received on other side. So the next thing that we will try to do is to produce and consume key value pairs. Kafka message might have a key and a value. So we will use console producer to produce messages with particular key. And we're going to be using colon as a separator of key and value. So for key 1 messages, we have what a lovely bunch of coconuts message. Next thing is going to be foo bar, classic example of test data, and fun, not quarantine. Here we go. Now, we need to configure our consumer in order to understand and display these keys properly. So in this particular case, we start over, reading from topic from beginning, and we will use dash as a separator of key and value. As you can see in the places, in the messages that we produced before, we don't have any key. So in this case, we see null as a key, but for the messages that we have, we see key separated by dash. Now, once we're done, let's clean out after ourselves and running Docker Compose down. And that was it. Hopefully, this helped you to learn how you can consume and produce messages with command line tools only and without any coding. And I will see you on the next one. And as always, have a nice day.